So if you clicked on this video, this means you're either in PA school or you're about to apply for PA school. So I'm a PA student right now, and the things that I'm going to talk about in this video are key points on what I did to get accepted into a school or even to get an interview. So basically, things that every student should know before they apply. So the first thing is community service. Um, you need a lot of community service hours. And with community service, I mean you can do anything from serving food on Thanksgiving, to homeless people, to charity, helping out with charity work or at events, to even volunteering at a hospital. So I think since you're going into a medical field, it will be better for you if you basically do volunteer work at a hospital. And the reason why I say that is because if you're volunteering at a hospital and you're helping out, you're going to interact with doctors, PAs, nurses. So you're going to basically get a connection with the people that work there. So from the community service, from the volunteering at the hospital, you can get to have a personal relationship with doctors or PAs, and after a while you ask them to if you can shadow them, just to walk around, go on rounds with them to see what they do, basic things so you know what a PA does. And it's good to shadow both doctors and PAs, doctors or PAs, but since you're applying for PA school, it'll be better if you shadow PAs only. But if you can't find a PA in your area, then a doctor works as well. So um, that's the community service part. And the thing is that the reason why I say to volunteer at a hospital and then get to know the doctors, um, and then ask them to shadow them, is because for some hospitals they have like strict rules and stuff. So there's maybe programs that you would have to apply to in order to shadow doctors or PAs. So to get around that, just start volunteering at a hospital and then just get to know the doctors and the PAs there. And once you do that, then you're you're basically in. So you just have to try to get around the system. So the next thing is good grades. So you're definitely going to need good grades. Um, and by good grades, I mean at least 80s to 90s. Um, or sorry, I'll say 3.5 and above out of the 4.0. But just because you don't have a three, if you have a below a 3.5, or if you don't even have a 3.5 GPA, then that doesn't mean you can apply to PA school. Okay, so like I said, it doesn't mean you can't apply to PA school if you don't have above a 3.5. Each school is different. So let's say you have community service and you have great recommendations, a great personal statement, and the only thing you're missing is grades. Don't doubt yourself and don't turn yourself away and say, oh, I'm not going to apply because my grade is not good enough. There's people in programs that have everything and accept grades. I'm not saying they're gonna fail every class and get in, no. But let's say you had a lower grade than the average to get in. Still apply, because some PA programs will overlook the grade that you got in a certain class and they'll still accept you because you're still a strong applicant. So each PA school is different. Every year is different. So one year they might accept more students with lower grades than the next year. Then the year after that, they might not even accept anyone with any low grades. So still apply. So don't doubt yourself. If you have everything else except a couple bad grades, still apply and sell yourself at the interview, because you can still get a chance to get an interview even with those grades. So Don't turn yourself away, and don't tell yourself that I'm not good enough or I'm not gonna get in because of my grades. So sorry. I have a list of stuff, that key points that I want to hit, so I'm looking on my computer for it. So I said shadowing and volunteering already, and like I said, that's very important to shadow PAs. For PA programs, most want let's say 800 hours of shadowing or community service or clinical work. So the more you volunteer at a hospital and do some clinical type of volunteering, the better. And if you work as a nurse or work in the medical field, that's even better for you. So because that will also count towards those hours. So it would be better to do your volunteering at a hospital. Um, Next, I'll say letter of recommendations. Please, and I stress please, don't ask someone to write you a letter if you know that they're not going to write a good letter. Or let's say you guys have a rocky relationship and you don't know what they'll say in the recommendation letter, then don't ask them, because there's some people that will write a recommendation for you, and they will write a lengthy recommendation, but it could be about why they don't want you to get picked to get in, because that's happened to people before. They think the professor or whoever will write them a good recommendation, and they don't. So you don't want that to happen to you. You want to pick someone that you you have a connection with. They know you academically, or personally. So the more, and then you know that they will write your recommendation. There's even some people that will let you look at the recommendation before they send it out. So you just have to know who you're asking to write your recommendation. You don't want someone to pick someone they wrote something good about you, but they only wrote it in 2 lines. That's still a bad letter of recommendation. So just pick and choose who you decide to ask to write your letter. And next, your personal statement. For that, I will say, well, each person is different. For me, I let two people review mines, but to me, the more the better, and try to think outside of the box. You want, when you write your personal statement, it stands out. You don't want to write something that, let's say they're going to read 1,600 personal statements for everyone that apply. You you don't want it to be so generic that they don't remember you. You have to put something in there, or even change the style up so they remember you, and they say, "Oh, I remember this girl. I remember her personal statement or essay and everything." So you just have to try to change it up. Just don't put the normal thing. Oh, I want to be a PA because I want to help people. That's what a lot of people say. You don't want to start off by saying that, because they're not going to remember you if you say that. They already know you're applying into the medical field, so they know that you want to help people, so you can't pick that. Pick something very personal, um, that it only happened to you, that it'll stick in their minds. Um, Next, um, the interview. Okay, so let's say you get an interview. You want to prepare. You don't want to go to your interview and uh, you're basically gave a bad interview. You don't want that. So you got to prepare. You got to um, let people uh, do mock interviews for you. So the more mock interviews you do, the better. The less nervous you'll be at the um, the final interview, and the more prepared you'll be. It's better to get used to people asking you questions and answering them than to be totally not prepared. And since you're gonna do so many mock interviews, when you get to the interview and let's say they ask you a question that you've answered over and over at the mock interview, you don't want to sound like it's rehearsed. You want to um, be at the interview, and when they ask you the question, even though you heard those questions over and over and you've answered them so many times, you want to make it feel like it's coming from your heart and it's not rehearsed. And because if they have a feeling that everything is being rehearsed, then they're gonna think you're kind of fake and not, generic, and you're not saying everything from your heart. So just basically make sure it's coming from you and it's coming from the heart. Next, please, for the interview, wear professional clothing. You don't want to go to an interview and you're in jeans or a t-shirt, or you're not dressed properly. It's an interview. You want to sell yourself. When you're at the interview, you're trying to sell yourself. You're that day you're trying to be a salesman or a saleswoman. Sell yourself in a good way. And what I mean is sell yourself, you want to sell yourself for and tell them why should they choose you out of the thousands of applicants that applied, or the couple of hundred of applicants that they're interviewing. Out of them, why should they choose you? You might you might it could be, let's say you're the person that have you don't have the perfect everything. So you're at the perfect everything. So you're at the interview, that can make or break you. You have to sell yourself so they can choose you over someone that has a perfect application, because not everyone with a 4.0 GPA did all clinical work and they basically have the perfect binder of stuff to basically get in. If that person with the perfect application came to the interview and they don't seem sincere and real, they're not going to choose them. They'll choose someone with a lower GPA that has been trying and sold themselves so well at the interview that they won't choose a 4.0 person with the perfect application. So sell yourself in the best way possible and let them know why they should choose you. And like I said, try not to be a robot and memorize questions, because if you do that, then they don't like that either. Okay. Okay, so I think um oh yeah, so I just have one more key point, well two more things well, one more thing and then I'll wrap it up. So basically, when you're doing the applications, just make sure you have money for traveling expenses and everything for the different schools you apply to, because let's say you applied to 10 schools and you got callbacks by, let's say, 5 schools, and they're in different places in different cities or states. You're gonna need money to go to those places because the schools don't provide that money for you. So make sure you have enough money for the applications, primaries and secondary applications, and you also have money for travel expenses for when you do go to those interviews. And oh, sorry, another thing to do is, let's say they have orientations and workshops at the schools that you're going to apply to. It's good to go to those schools, get to mingle and meet the people, so they'll, when they're going over the applications, they might remember you. They might remember something about you, but they'll, have your name in the back of their mind. So go to any open houses, any workshops, any PE things to the schools that you want to apply to, um, so you have a good a good connection with the people there. And yeah, so I think that's basically it. If you have any questions, comment, concern, just let me know below, and I'll help anyone that needs help. Um, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. and for watching.